Hello, hoi kom dot. Ul navel tin ha tu zan le Thawngpang chim na kan ai than halai. Pathian ni chan tha chan sung le kam pek lam kan throi. Iran le US ko US COVID-19 e li le hro le nak tu na kong le. Chen Iran ka na than na kong le Thawngpang da dang kam chim halai. Nan chan sung le tan e nam ka zau ton cha thank you bok ase. Tu le jo US ram e kan thei mi chung en hobik chimpon na ka kam ni halai te. Nan chan sung le tan e nam ka zau ton cha thank you ye ase. Thawngpang abdi tha te kha chimpon na ka kam ni halai. Abikin YouTube le kha live in kan tha peng mi sil te. YouTube a kan mai kan nol halai. Facebook page se jo du sa tin kalta katim jang te. Facebook page live tha hi du sa te kalta katim cha kan YouTube le ya kan kal dim halai. Sa tu liu Iran le US kalak COVID-19 e Dr.Fauci bihal nak an tua mi chen Thawngpang adang pun ha kan thei mi chungin te an hu bik kha chimpon na ka kan ai halai ni nan chan sung loi tan in nam ka zau ton cha thank you bok ase si atu liwa Thawngpang update thar te an hu bik kam chim halai sa Thawngpang lei kam kal halai che thank you we are waiting for you okay thank you YouTube lei YouTube link kha kam pyak halai te live ka thami kha YouTube link a khan kan kal halai maka abikin YouTube kha than sautar katim misil te YouTube ka than sautar katim mis cha khan YouTube link le akhan kan kal te halai atu leo Dr.Fauci bihal nak an tu mi COVID-19 e mor hup nak rak tu mi timin pol kha shok long te rak se ma he chen Iran ka naka pezul in ka pezul like ka like tim kong na le adang Thawngpang pol kha an silai te tu cho pakhat nak pe US la Dr.Fauci e bihal nak an tu mi de kha ma kha kam zom salai e COVID-19 e thong ni la kumkul e COVID-19 raksi e mor hup nak anak tu mi le lockdown an tu mi le chen 6 foot e space ti mi peruk hladin tim pul haka shok long ti raksi chu na azahan tini akan Dr.Fauci jo bihal nak an tu e te ma bihal nak an tu mi a chen chim ok pakam han a thailo e kai chu US phung ham pi Fifth Amendment in kai kham tia boy zanga rang lo achim bihal nak an tu mi bial ti pun ha chu Fifth Amendment ma Fifth Amendment kha ma a khan ka beng ti kase chu boy zanga rang lo boy khat bihal ite boy zanga rang lo bak kha ma kha Fifth Amendment ma khan ke bia pakhan na le na lo bakan boy zanga rang lo bak ale na mi kase chen chung a chen Dr.Fauci he atu chu amol Fauci check amol Fauci check ke ma pol ha chu kam zo thalai kharo har box se bia hal mi mo ma kha bia hal nak an tu pa kha kharo har tak box se bia hal tu zong ni zaiti ti ok zong khan thewi ti lo chen ma su si atu hi Dr.Fauci thong ni la kumkul e COVID-19 รักตีมีขามาขาลีเลียร์โรลินอตุเฮอติมิจเสมาลีเลียร์โรลินรักตีมีขสละอตุโจใจตินาอันติเสียติเสียจันมาอันติมีอาคันใจตินาอันตัวอติเสียจัน US รำเฮลีเลียร์โรลินพายอารักกัลปีอารักชิมนาติกเสอารักชิมนาติเสละมาปุกะกำลังจะทำอะไรมั้งมาหมอกซาบอกสินักข่าวฟ้าจิโจพายสัตย์ปีอารักหูมิลเลียนพายสัตย์ปีหูนักข่าวฟ้าจีบิฮัลนังอันตัวมีอาศินีปะลอยปะเลี้ยงอันชัวมาพูดมาค่ะกำลังจะทำอะไรคอมเมนต์กำลังจะทำอะไรคอมเมนต์กำลังจะทำอะไรFacebook เห็นไปมาไลฟ์จูตามเดียวอินอัลโหเราอาจจะตัวตรงอันตามเดียวอันอะไรจูFacebook จู Facebook ไลฟ์ท่าเฮกัลตักทุกมากระติมอารมณ์บิ๊กจู Facebook ใน YouTube เฮท่านชมตารกระติมมีค่ะเสียจ้าจนนิวส์ก็เป็นชิมไลฟ์อัตันติมากัน Facebook ไลฟ์ก็กระท่าไลฟ์YouTube เลยเทียมมีพวกเขา YouTube เลยกันเทียมที่ท่านละมั้งเทียมเรามีจูกันจงปัตตุมันอะไรจูเสร็จดร.ฟาวซีเบียร์นังตัวมีค่ากำลังไงมาสั่งอะไร
Today, Senator Peters. You're not recognized. You're not recognized. If you are unruly, you will be removed from the proceeding. You are not recognized, and you are not recognized, sir. Sir, you are not recognized. You are not recognized. Security.
Maka Dr. Fauci ka beholding in and out kasi. Hearing to ding in and out. Snay hearing to ding in to lawyer aken. Sini ka tila mo? Ma sini aken la. Ma sini pa ni kan a whole pang. A whole pang tiga rainfall ni security aun ha. Security aun ha biya chimloading in order apek.
We'll hold off, but you will respect these proceedings. You were told not to sit at the table. You insist on sitting at the table, and we told you would not be recognized. You are not invited here for testimony, sir. You are being disruptive. Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said...
Mahi timichum atuan nang mabia ake bihalding kan out mi silo. Dr. Fauci bihalding kan out mi si nang mabe chim nang nol kan pilo nang ma kha kan herlo. Jun sini bechai zung slo nang ma thong chunga na ta lai. Chu za jun atu nu bia dai ti thu lo bia ngai dai ti thu lo na ho ri sia chen hikarum hin kan cholai tika rampol ni ti mi se
sit quietly. You are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
Another word is you gone ti se bia ka khat na chim sia chen lenga kan cholai.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what the attorney has to say.
He is not recognized by the committee or the chair. If he speaks again, he will be removed from the room. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. He can advise, his lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him.
Yes.
All right? But
Atimichu tuchun ahhin ama Dr. Fauci a lawyer pa he beholding kan out mi sila. Adu siya chen Dr. Fauci ka ruanak a chekho ama chimnak chang kan pila. Tu cha chen atutiga dai ti thu salo adu siya chen Dr. Fauci ka ruanak ti ka chekho. Snabel tin kama he bichon nak nol ka pila. Boycott bia a chimri siya chen hika zung chung ka chho lai ti ka se.
The attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules.
Atimi chom ma lawyer pa he atuai achimi he nang chu lam tang a aumin se phongning tang aumin se le Dr. Fauci kan chim nan lawyer pa he te phong bia angai lo mi no follow the rule phong pai azul lo mi pa se chu kan chim.
That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
Ma kha Dr. Fauci bihal na kan tu lai antimia a lawyer pa kha a hot atam tuk cha hearing room in an chu ka se pakhana pathina ka chen Dr. Fauci e COVID-19 e morhup na tu lai peruk na hat lai chen mizapi na tong lai lo siang nang kha lai zung nang kha lai ma tipul ka sok solong ti araksi ma araksi rong akan atu chu Dr. Fauci bian halite Fifth Amendment USA pong ma pumpak even him nak ding cha ma kha Fifth Amendment ti mi ma pol kha boy zanga rang lo achim ti se boy zanga rang lo achimi ma boy zanga rang lo achimi chunga chen tu hi ankro zong hardi ma kha tutana kam zo chan te Dr. Fauci bi hal na an tu mi chunga
from all these terrible policies, and this is really the very first time we've seen something like something. So here too, every with the Senate and leveled with the American people, and not faced any legal consequences, even if he destroyed documents, even if he had been lying. He's done because of this pardon that Biden gave him. But instead of telling the truth, he pleaded the Fifth Amendment 111 times, and it was completely unnecessary. He didn't need to do that. It's not even.
Atimi jo atu he Dr. Fauci ni jo asol nang tu lai tia phang a Joe Biden ngai thiam na karak tua ngai thiam na pardon ti mi ngai thiam na ka tu e president ngai thiam na tu khon ho chen asol to kho khasalo sina be hearing an tu mi chatin US Rama invoked Fifth Amendment US Rampia Fifth Amendment ti mi jo pumpak ikilven nak ting cha antu mi se ma kong kha achi mi se la Dr. Fauci ni voice nga rang lo achim ti se ma chu zaibian chimpo wa kete Fifth Amendment kha amham ni chu se ma he Joe's holy ni bihal nak antu mi se COVID-19 lockdown an tim kha a thok sol araksi ai.
What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
Tu hi zai tha da siti ate tu hi zai tha da siti ka hale atimi chu kaima kapum event nak chung ding cha Fifth Amendment kha kamhan zaiban tok ne tai da na tua.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
Atimi jo nene tai kha zaiban tu khala da na tai cho atimi jo kai chu USA Fifth Amendment in กาเวนสิเตียติจุดที่เสียซึ่งโจสโฮลีนี่ที่มีจูน้ำหายกาอีคาร์ปัดค่ะใจขลาดสิ
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know, as the Supreme Court has been clear for a century.
มาข้าฮัลติกาDr. Fauci นี่เละออกเทเลอิน Fifth Amendment นี่กาคำที่เพียงสิ Fifth Amendment จูอาหาวนี่ดาเตียอาหาวนี่ดา Fifth Amendment จูอาหาวนี่ดาเตียที่จงค่ะอาหารจงค่ะ Fifth Amendment นี่กาคำที่สิอาศัยมันตุเบียฮัลปูจงอาคัน Fifth Amendment ล้อที่ค่ะนั่นไอ้จังโมที่จงอ่ะ Fifth Amendmentอาตัวเห็นนับบิดกูโมที่จงอ่ะ Fifth Amendment มังบังซาบักสิ
The pandemic, you got rich, didn't you?
มากาให้ที่มิจูโจไบเดนเนี่ยอันไงเทียมมีหินน่าโรคโรลอินนักรุกจ้าสินางจูดร. Fauci นรุมนับเฟียร่วงอันนรุม
It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic, you got rich, didn't you?
Pandemic ร่วงอันนางจูนรุมจังแต่
You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you?
Your job.
มาค่ะอันฮัลมิจุสิโควิด-19นะอาทีจนโควิด-19นะอันที่ปัว US เจ้าสาเอ็นมาค่ะไพศาเคลมนักนั่นตัวเองนางมาค่ะเคสอินอันนี้เปียกสินางจุดนรุมโควิด-19นะ US มาเปลี่ยนที่เดียวนรุมเดียวนับเฟียร์เดียวมิลเลียนน่าชัว
Question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Folkers says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to...
มาเตียงคัสโลเตียงแกนี่ก็ชิมละเลย November 17, 2020มาเฮDr. Fauci นี่จ้าอันกวดบิ๊กเซ่โควิด-19 ดวงเอาขโมมาพูดให้สิเลย Dr. Fauci นี่เห็นลีและโทษโอินเยสรามาชงคาร์แฟมิลีรวกไอ้ไก่เลวมาอีตอนเลวเปรุกลาดินเตียอารักติมีปลอกาอาร์โฮโลเตียอารักซีไอมาค่ะฮูฮันที่มีตลุกเสียร์มีซีไวค่ะรักซีไอมาค่ะสิมนุษย์อันที่ปัวคัมพานีเข้มไพศาอาหารไหนแคสอินอันเปียกDr. Fauci จูแคสอินอันเปียกที่เช่นั่นจูโจสโฮลีบอกนี่ชิมิสู
Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award.
$900,000 cash award. มาเห็นมาปีอันที่ปัวกติคัมพานีนี่สเกลที่อาดังพอปอากติไพศาติงกัวแรงเลวมาพูดนักติอันเปียกนักสิแคสอินเซ่มาคำเพียร์มิค่ะมาพูดกับโจสโฮลีนี่ชิมิสู
$900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the Partnership for Public Service. You've got...
My here, Dr. Fauci ni, a federal employee apply for award. Mapulka atua alaktua misi ite. Dr. Fauci ni hem paisa million cash in angati se. Tutu Joe so holy bakni nanga na fierti kese.
actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on...
Maka, Dr. Fauci ni, manung periat, yesarama, federal employee pun haka, amhanai paisa maka, cash in ampiatisha. Mambang zasiko, hey.
Money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards. You then had them go out to the ethics agencies and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. That's right. We've got it in your emails. Your staff and employees on federal time.
Dr. Fauci jo amhaya ui chubok alo antise lai hol chu ui chubok alo mi zo azo ngam ti lo amhai ti sen chuak di bakan bian hal mi pau akhan my right fifth amendment zabia man chimlo zabia zo chimlo ni ka chung bak bian hal mi my right fifth amendment ti lo te ka josi so holy ni ti chu me fear ku joba din na ngai tem por nam fear tuk za da kosto dikes ko ma ma za ko di party te di party fear long te bak na ren ko cho
Violated the law, didn't it, Dr. Fauci? Didn't it? It violated the law, didn't it? It is a question. You can answer. Go ahead.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Federal law, as you very well know, prohibit...
An boga Fifth Amendment ni ka chumbak achimicho Fifth Amendment law tika achimite zaidina achimno chimchok ha ka thewil ha ma ka am fial chang ate le opokam ka thaitin ha lo cho bia le opokam thaitin ha lo karwa har bak se di party jan fial tuk na ka te.
Advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my right. On the advice of counsel...
Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. What is the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution? Very, very well done. Mr. Fauci, do you know who David Shurtler is?
Dr. Fauci, David Shurtler timi pahin na thai mo dise.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Ma ka kaima pum ben him nak ding cha Fifth Amendment kamhan.
Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. What does the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution say?
Fifth Amendment, the Constitution to me pung tham bini zaida achim du mi se.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Kaima pum ben him nak ding cha Fifth Amendment kamhan. Fifth Amendment jo zaida asulam se chim tua. Mam han cha thai ti lo chumo.
No, I'm just asking you what it says.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
I'm going to give the Constitution to my aide. He'll bring it over to you so you can have it for future reference. I think it's something that every American should. Wow. Well, let me tell you who David Schertler is for the audience, because he was ejected by the chairman as bribes from.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Clearly, what you think today is that somehow you're above reproach. Somehow you feel COVID pandemic, you were called a racist for calling the virus a Wuhan virus or the China virus. If you thought the 6-foot rule was total crap, if you thought the vaccine wasn't something that you should take, if you thought it was outrageous the way the mask policy was rolled out, if you were fired from your job for not taking that vaccine, including members of the military, if you thought closing schools was catastrophic, Dr. Fauci, can you just turn around and look at the people behind you? You're not willing to do that? That's not a question. It's not a question. To your lawyers, not a question. It's a request. All you have to do is look up from your lawyers and look at the people who were absolutely shamed for saying what we know now to be the truth. You can't even look at them? That's a question. Are you able to look at them? You can sit down in the audience. There was.
Ati mi jo biya mi jo Dr. Fauci piruk hladin nen umlai na ti siang en khar ra ka pulha vaccine a chunlomi pulha riam pho na ti rian ton mo employee pulha siang na riam pho nan ti na rian am pho na ma na pul nan huka nan huan dear lo nan hulai email lo zo na lo sorry tin ha ti se zo du bak na lo ati mi jo my right Fifth Amendment ka an rak phiar ning le li anak chim ning ju kharo har bok chuk chu.
They hadn't been out much. The kids had been learning at school, and then the school got shut down. Alone, far from everybody else, just a mom, a dad, a few kids. Dr. Fauci, do you know what happened to that mom and that family? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
More interested in having met a Kardashian than the suffering of the American people, and that is you, Mom, for watching a football and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total.
Matia Kanselotem. Atimi jo atu he ria ke COVID-19 kon hua kumruk sijang. Le natu mi tilbial ti he zautika shokshol. Long ti si. Siang tampian kar chen zauza ri tampian puan ha. Riesra kap tampirian am puan ha. Menung tampian ti sijung an chia ai lo an chien ha yan ti. Ma timi pul ha ka ai tha te pia ka che andam ko. Na rong te in asi karian is nature hen kan pek nang mani tua hen ui chu pa nang ma ruang a riesra ka ries menung tam to kan ti. Nama bantuk ui chu pul han hen rianan tuan ruang a ting halo bing menung tam to kan ti. Si zung akang halaw ding tam tuk an angkal e. Nama ruanga yes mapi. Tampi anu nakalya. Business tampi. Arian yan puan ha. Andit dan ha. Company tampi yung kar. Atu andiat chang kau tilaw. Dr. Fauci jo mai siya ko ka. Namhu ko lama. Chimika. Nama ui chupa. Karian kan pek. Senator pe tuwa. Mang bang za si mang pa ka mang bang za bak si yes nei an halmi bia te nikat chung an halmi bia ti ju Fifth Amendment Fifth Amendment. Nanai tai dei songa thela nanopi dei songa Fifth Amendment. COVID-19 sinam piak mia zai si Fifth Amendment. Maka di party sa ko chu. Di party jo maka asi am fier tuk na ka kharo har bak se. Mazu se Dr. Fauci atu jo nalong phim ko lo mo. Tu chuna na hok thol nak le. The look in China Wuhan virus di achang ko mia pinga piruk inati tipo ka nanchim. Aselaw to kan kwa nak rakhang naraktua. Na hok long te raksi. Disko sang chu. Maka ai nam putham kha bian halte. Bian halle kamazong halai.
Dr. Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times today. Senator Rand Paul said he's going to hold a vote on holding him in contempt of Congress. Do you think Dr. Fauci should face repercussions for this?
Well, I watched the whole thing today, but more importantly, I was a part of the whole Fauci. I inherited Fauci. He was here from the 1980s, so I had him for a period of time. And I disagreed with him on a lot. I would have had to close down the whole country if I listened to him. I went the Federalist way, which is basically to let the governors decide. And generally speaking, the Republican governors did very well. The Democrat governors did not very well. But Fauci wanted to have nobody wearing masks, if you remember, and then everybody had to wear 5 masks, as many masks as you.
Kam putham kabian halte. Dr. Fauci tu chuna bia hal na kan. Boiza rang lo. Fifth Amendment ka amang. Bia lin halo. Zait nanarwa ning tika bia hal nang tum se. Dr. Fauci chu ke bian halmi kha adi tiang chu kazau di lo nan. Kazau mi chunga chen Fifth Amendment ka amhan mi se. Chu chunga chen au mi Fifth Amendment ka phanang no chu au sunan. An tu mi zau tika bia an halmi po Fifth Amendment phan di chu kharo har se. Chen Joe Biden ni ken pardon ti mi ngai thiam na kharak pe. Ma ngai thiam na pe mi kha President ngai thiam na pe mi kha hop piak phung salo.
Prime time in terms of that whole disaster of COVID. Far people died, fewer in the Trump administration than in the Biden administration. We ran it well. Operation Warp Speed was talked about as being one of the great success stories anywhere in the world, actually. And we did a good job. But many more people died under Biden than died in the Trump administration from COVID. COVID was a disaster, but Fauci did not help.
Ma kha atimi cho Joe Biden ne ngai thiam nak atu mi ka se. Ma ngai thiam nak atu mi chu ro piak phung salo president pakhan ni. Superpower ka nei mi be mi si da sam na beten keima president ka tuen chung na khan Joe Biden chunga ka athi mi an tam dio chen mor hop ati peruk ati ma pol ma chu vaccine chun lo mi pol ha ka riam pho ati ma pol ka sile ma ka chu arak si lo mi asi li rok rol anak to mi ka si ko ti kha achim mi se chen Ukraine lei sorry Iran lei ka na kong ma Iran lei ka na kong ka ma don halate ma Iran ka na kong ha Trump ni pizul in kan ka lai pizul kan ka lai Iran he adok han lo po kan ka lai ti se tu se ma adok han lo kan ka lai zaitin da narwa ning asi ti kha se the narwing city sila Iran he kan ka lai kan did lai adong na ka big kan tlai hib lai atu belte he omi chu ate US le Israel chomyak na kan nei mi a becha na big decision kan tori lo ma he Trump order ka kan hak ti se Trump order ka kan hak e Trump ni order atua a kha kal changu ka chang to chang ti asia chen Iran kha atu ka ding khas ko ti se Trump ni timi chu Iran ni zaitik manang nuclear power anai lai lo ti chu kan chimna ka chimi kha simple se ma zu se Iran ni nuclear power anai lai lo atu นิวเคลียร์อันเชนักตั้งปีค่ะมาค่ะ US นี่กันหลากหลายที่เสียอาตุเฮียอันทีมตัวบิ๊กมีพวกเขา US นี่นิวเคลียร์พาวเวอร์อันเชนักมาตั้งค่ะมาค่ะอาตุเฮียหลักอันทิพมาเสร็จอาตุเฮียซาอุดิอาระเบีย US และอิสราเอลจอยอันเสียมาถ้าพวกเขาอาบอบเป็นก้าจังมินเสียจนสุดท้ายจนยูเครนนี่อิหร่านนักเวมาเสร็จอิหร่านจะอาจจะรัวชันนักติลาวอาทิตย์มิจูกันก้าจังลักโลอาจจะลิมลักโลข้าหาวใจข้าชิมออกติลาวชิมหาวติลาวเห็นมาเฮกันลิมลักโลข้าหาวอารวงบิจูอิหร่านนี่นิวเคลียร์พาวเวอร์เฮอาศัยอันนั้นอิสระอิสราเอลจูอดีบักเตียเตอิสราเอลจูอดีจุดจ้าฉันอิสราเอลอดีแล้วนาดิงจ้าเห็นกันเกี่ยวเวนข้าอาบปีมิจูเสจุดจ้าฉันโดนจิตทำนี่ก็มุติมีแลก็ชิมิจูก็ตัวเรื่องไลมาก็ตัวมีนี่เห็นเซติกมานะอิหร่านนี่นิวเคลียร์อันไหนแล้วตีข้าการักชิมิข้าสิมาก็ชิมิจงอาฉันอตุฮีก็ตัวมีจูสิจนฮามูสคอนโทรลนักกัน US นี่กันคอนโทรลจุลองสลาว US เนี่ยตัวเฮียเคสตั้มปีกันในจังจีนันเลยจีนันพวกกันตั้มปีกันในจังไอ้เต้ US จะอาจจะพันออกใจพันมั้งเรามา US จะพันออกมั้งเราอ่ะตัวอีกมาเตียนอีกเว้นนักกันตัวโจมาค่ะอาศัยเขาจุดจ้าฉัน US นี่เห็นอิหร่านจูกัลิมไลอดีตยังก้าวคนไรจูทรัมป์เบียกับชิมิซีมาเบลเจอิหร่านนิวเคลียร์พาวเวอร์เช่นนั้นตั้งขจูกันก้าวไลโมกันหลากหลายอะดูหลากดิ่งกันในทีมตัวที่ข้าเสียหลากดิ่งทีมตัวข้าเสียจนยูเครนและรัสเซียโดนัลด์ทรัมป์นี่ไลเซนอเปียกนะพามเน็ตกันที่ไรเจ้ายูเครนนี่ long range missile เลยair defense system ปุ่นหาดงจีกันที่ไรมั้งมาปุ่นหาก็การนักดิ่งจ้าตัวเฮอเปียกไหนจะหันอ่ะ permit อเปียกนักสิอามาที่อิสราเอลยูเครนรามาดงจีกันนักมาปุ่นค่ะอามาชิมหาไรอันเสียมเบลัยอามาที่เป็นอย่างไรรัสเซียก็การนักสิมาขัดตัวเฮอันเปียกนะรัสเซียจะจนสงสัยนักงั้นแต่ตักอันตองเบมาขัดสิสงสัยนักงั้นตักอันตองมีชงอาจนอตุฮียูเครนอลักเซียมีครีเมียข้าอตุจูยูเครนเนี่ยข้าแทนกันสิอันจะหานักงั้นเปลี่ยนตองมาเตียงจูกันเทโคตกเสเจสลาพงนิงเราอลุดมีใจทมากดทมาเสร็จข้าประเทศนี้จันทาจันส่งเลยกันเปียสลาวเตกันต้องชันทางอะไรกันมุชันไหลหลายปากกงนิวส์มีเฮไงเปียงกระดูกอติมีนั่นมุเสสเตจุดทุบเลยเดียวกัลจังไหลกันที่ขมงภายทานตุยดูซาเตกันกัลจังไหลจนจงข้า Facebook เลยกันมันท่าไหลกันที่คนนั้นอาชารีเรากันที่ละเสียหลายมีชงอาดีปาร์ตี้โพลจงเฟียร์มังปากโอไหลดา CBC USA ดีปาร์ตี้ช่วยตุตาอันตามใช่ไหมเสร็จแล้วกันต้องชันกันมุชันแล้วไปรีลงยังคอมเมนต์แค่เขาดีก็